Hi everybody, it's Thursday, it's the first Litsoc after the holiday. Hope you all had a nice time, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Everybody's very quiet. So lots to talk about today. What we read on our holidays, obviously. But before we begin, we finished, didn't we, last half term with Booker Prize. Who was shortlisted and who might win? Well, it was announced last night. Luciana, do you know who won?
South African guy.
The South African guy,
I can't remember his name.
Damon Galgut. And there he is. And he said when he won, it was like an out-of-body experience, apparently. That was his quote this morning.
Yeah, he looked very emotional when he walked up on the stage.
Yeah.
You could tell he was a little
it's
bit.
the third time lucky, as he was shortlisted in 2003 and 2010, and his book was named The Promise. Now, I'd forgotten this, but Mr. Humphreys told me this morning that I had predicted this, that nobody else had. So
Yeah.
I'm quite smart today. If you might not remember, but it's set in South Africa, and it looks at 4 funerals and a family with 4 funerals. So he was very excited, and it was all in the papers this morning. So that's nice, really nice for him. So congratulations to Damon Galgut. Nice to have something from the African continent for a change as well. So that's good. Okay. Right, well, let's have a quick talk about what we read on our holidays then. I read something we're going to talk about later, which is Asher and the Spirit Bird. Anybody want to know this?
I've got the book, but I haven't read it.
Right. Okay, it's well worth it. I'll talk about it in a minute. I enjoyed that. Isabel, Miss Ria, what did you read?
I read a book called, it's a YA book called This Poison Heart.
Okay.
It's the same author that did Cinderella is Dead.
Oh.
And it's sort of a retelling of The Secret Garden combined with a bit of Greek mythology, sort of.
Oh.
Yeah, it was really good. I was surprised how much I liked, actually. But it's got a very diverse character base there. It's about a girl, she's an African American girl with 2 black adoptive mothers. And it's about their kind of experience being, they own a flower shop. It's hard to explain without spoiling too much very quickly, but yeah, it was really recommend it. Really good book.
Okay. Interestingly, of course, with Secret Garden is that Mary, of course, comes from India to go to live in Yorkshire. So she brings that, and that the house has all that imagery of India as well, the elephants and the ivories and things as well.
Yeah.
So that colonial past of ours, Eloise, what did you read?
I read Daughter of a Parrot Named Geology
Mm-hmm.
and the first quarter of Warner Roses.
Nice, good, yeah, worthwhile.
Yeah.
Good. Right, yeah. Sophie, what did you read?
I started reading a book called The Cousins, which is like a mystery book.
Mm-hmm.
It's about 3 cousins who come from different backgrounds, and they all get like a mystery invite to go to their grandmother's like holiday like hotel thing on the island, but their grandmother hasn't talked to them, and they disowned their parents. She disowned their parents when their dad died. So, and they don't think she sent the invite.
Oh.
So it's like a mystery, and also her secretary wants to get rid of them, but they don't know why yet.
Oh, okay. So you haven't got very far. We
I've
haven't finished it.
kind of nearly finished it, but if I say what happens there, it's
No,
probably
we
spoilers.
won't.
I read that one too, over the summer holidays. It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, I read it a bit before the summer holidays.
Same author as One of Us is Lying, isn't it?
Yeah,
So-
she does like 4 books, all kind of similar.
I'm going to read those next, because I need to finish this one.
Yeah, well, it's nice when you've got somebody who's got more books than one, isn't it? Emily, what did you read?
I'm still reading at the moment The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. It's the prequel to the Hunger Games, and it's really good.
Oh yes, it came out last year, didn't it? That's right? Or was it earlier this year?
Last year, I
Last
think.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and so far I think I'm like 3/4 of the way through. I didn't know much about the Hunger Games before, but I wanted to read this one because it's like the order of events. So, but most people read the Hunger Games first and the prequel. But it was a bit confusing at first because I didn't know what had happened. Like there was a war and I didn't know what the war was. I didn't know what the district and capital was. But by now it's a really good book because so the main character, he's a mentor in the Hunger Games, and it's just been the war, and he was a child in the war.
Oh right.
And it's the first year that they have mentors in the Hunger Games, and his tribute. It's a gal from District 12, and back then there was like the most like strongest districts, and that was like 1, 2, 4, and 11, I think. And you want the boy from these districts, but he got the girl from the worst district, so he didn't think he had much chance in winning this, but he needs it to get a scholarship and a good education so he can like go forward because they're running out of money.
Right.
And no one thinks he's going to win, but he gets lots of popularity from his tribute because she's very colourful. She's a great singer, and she puts on lots of shows, and which earns them like more money to give food when she's in the arena. And now I'm reading when all the tributes are in the arena fighting, and it's really good so far because it's like what happens in the arena and outside the arena as well, like his troubles and like the people who organised the Hunger Games, like how they're kind of off a bit as well, and how the Hunger Games, if you think about it really, it's quite a messed up thing. And like they're trying to change it in a way, but also he's trying to make his tribute survive. But once I finish it, I'm going to read the Hunger Games.
Right. Okay. Have you seen the films?
No.
No.
It's booked
So
before the
it's
movie.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, good. Okay. So a new way into the Hunger Games. Evie, what about you?
I'm been reading, and I'm still reading Three Sisters, Three Queens by Philippa Gregory. I've always seen like my mum reading like the Philippa Gregory books, and I'm really like, okay, I think I'm gonna try it, and I'm really liking it. So it's Philippa, she mostly does like Tudor history, and so this book I haven't really got halfway yet. It's quite a big book, but so it's starting with, I don't quite know who's the narrator. I think it may be it's King Henry VIII's sister. So
Margaret.
Yeah, Margaret. So the book starts, and Catherine of Aragon is married to Arthur, and of course eventually Arthur dies, and it's the way I find it so interesting because the way she does it, it sounds like a diary, but she uses so many words that I would never understand, but it just makes it sound so interesting. Again, I haven't really got that far in it, but it's a really good book, and I'm really liking it.
She's a good writer, Philippa Gregory. She really is. Yeah. I was watching Who Do You Think You Are with Josh Widdicombe, and who's a comedian and actor, and they discovered that he is related to the Boleyns. So, and of course, her first breakthrough novel was about Mary Boleyn, who was Henry VIII's mistress before Anne. So that was another link. And originally they thought it might be only to Elizabeth I's court, but in fact they take it further back. So that's really interesting. Yeah, really interesting.
Imagine finding that out.
Yeah, I know. He had no idea of it because he's a man. He hasn't read Philippa Gregory, which is a bit of a stereotype, but it's true.
The one that's probably true.
Yeah, and obviously hadn't seen The Other Boleyn Girl either, the film. So, or at least he didn't sound as though he had, which is quite funny. So, yeah.
I think
Lulu, what about you?
now.
What have you been reading?
I went up to Durham at half term, and ironically to see the university ball, so I was looking for books so I could read stuff for Cambridge. So, but yeah, no, I went into the cathedral and because I knew they would have good books in there, and I found these two like travel diaries. I couldn't tell you who it's by. I think his first name's Alex, but it's like a journey. One of them's a journey along the Hadrian's Wall, and one of them's about Vikings.
Okay, interesting.
And like Ethelred and stuff, because I want to do that as an art course at Cambridge. So yeah, I read the introduction. It's very dense. I probably have to read it again. I found it quite difficult to understand. So but, you know, I really want to know more about that. So I'm really looking forward to reading more of it. That's
Okay, you're thinking you're way ahead. Durham's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really nice.
Really special. Cathedrals are amazing. Yeah, when my reading weeks at Lancaster, I went across and stayed in it, and I loved the cathedral. Just thought it was wonderful.
Unfortunately, they had a massive COVID tent out the front of it,
Oh,
which
no.
kind of blocked the view. But no, it was really good. And inside, they filmed like Avengers Endgame and Harry Potter and stuff in there.
That's true, they did.
That was interesting.
Yes. Yeah.
And there was a really cool stained glass window over. It was a memorial to a student who used to go to Durham. But yeah, no, it was really beautiful. There's also good stuff to see inside that cathedral if you guys want to know.
It's amazing. Quite different from any other, really. Lots of ways, isn't it?
It was massive.
Yeah.
And they had a big exhibit about a moon.
Yes.
Yeah, it's travelling around the country and it was
It
like
is. Yeah.
It was weird because we didn't know about it and we stepped in and we're like, where's the moon there? So it grew from Despicable Me, Shrunk the Moon.
It's I went to Chichester Cathedral during the holidays, and they were expecting it, so you had to book in to see it, but it hadn't arrived yet.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think probably top 3 cathedrals I've been to, Winchester Cathedral goes down because they tried to charge me £12 to go and see it. And I'll make a donation voluntarily, but not £12 to go and see it.
Not
try Westminster Abbey, 18.
Out of my budget.
Yeah, absolutely. They still owe it to me because I booked, and then we went into the second lockdown. And
That's nice.
they've never been in touch, not ever.
Sneaky.
Yeah, really sneaky. Yeah. Sienna, what about you? What have you been reading?
Not much. I was rereading Volume 1 of Frankenstein.
Oh, of course, yes, yes.
That
And all
was
the joys of that.
About it.
I listened to it on the radio. It was Jamie Parker wandering around going, "Oh, woe is me." Yes, absolutely. Okay, right. What have you been reading?
Well, just before half term, I was reading The Cousins, finishing it off.
Oh, right,
because
okay.
I've read the whole series now, but that was the last one I read, so that was pretty good. But obviously, Sophie's already kind of talked about that. So, so I have this big stack of books on my bedside table, and I mean, I used to kind of just dip in and out, like depending on, because I read before I go to sleep a lot, and sometimes like I read a lot of books which are quite tense in the middle. So when I get to the tense bits, sometimes, so I can sleep more peacefully, I just go and read like a random book. So I have like murder mysteries, and then I have Anne of Green Gables, just so I can just calm down before going to sleep.
It's a very calming book.
There's nothing too horrific goes on in Anne of Green Gables, to be honest.
Yeah.
Probably apart from her hitting her classmate over the head.
Oh, with a slate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Maybe,
I mean there are some bits.
I mean,
but
I think that's a little less graphic than a murder mystery.
I can sleep on that.
Yeah.
But I was reading on a Kindle. I was reading A Christmas Carol, which I'm also learning about in English. So I'm a bit ahead now. But
Oh,
Are
that's
you in
nice
Mr.
of
Bird's
him.
yeah. So that's quite good. But I'm not very far through. I'm not going to go into the details of that because I think most people know it. So,
Some version or other.
yeah. And I also started a book. I think it came out this year or end of last year, but it's called As Good as Dead,
Okay.
which is I think it might be the last book of the series, but I'm not sure because she hasn't written another. So, but it's about a girl called Pippa
who, well, she changes a lot in the books. Like in the first one, she's quite like stereotypical good girl, but then, so the first one's called A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, but she's quite a perfectionist and all sorts of things like that, but she's really, really clever. And she solves a murder mystery in the first one, or 2 murder mysteries in the first one. She solves a missing persons case in the second, and in the third, well, I'm not very sure yet what she's going to do, because she's gone through a lot of trauma from the first and second one, so the third one she's trying to find an easy case, because all her cases have a really, really big twist. I don't want to spoil them because that would be really horrible, but
anybody else read this
they will
series?
have a really big twist in the end. But she looked for a case deliberately that she thought was going to be like straight and like no twists, or just a really easy case that didn't, so that she could stop looking at murder mysteries and things like that and just
find dogs or something, or find a cat.
Well, someone died, but she didn't know that person very well, and she just thought it was going to be really easy.
Okay.
But I think something happens in her location, and well, she keeps getting these weird messages from a stalker.
Great.
Like who's going to look for
like
you when
one
you
should be really reading at bedtime.
it's like who's going to look for you when you disappear, and then she finds like a drawing of headless stickman people
nice.
on the driveway, and like dead pigeons on her drive and things like that. And loads and loads of emails saying who's going to look for you when you disappear. So at first she thought like someone's, because by the second book a lot of people disagreed with her because of something that she did at the end of the second book, so she just assumed that a lot of people were still holding a grudge against her and just like getting together and doing nasty stuff. But then she realised that it's one person or maybe 2 people, and it's not just harmless, and she's basically just started solving the case. So yeah.
Okay. So we've still got a bit to go then.
Yeah. Except my friend spoiled the end for me. I'm so mad at her.
Oh, that's so maddening.
Yeah. She finished it like the day before I started it, and I was so angry with her.
It's frustrating. No?
I read The Flying Fish.
Oh yeah.
And it's all about this girl who it's Greek, that her grandma, auntie teaches her, and what happens is the auntie, every holiday she comes over to see them, but then she was getting a little bit tired, and she was like earning less money because her bees were dying, and then she didn't have enough money to go and see, and it was the day I had to return it when I got halfway through. And yeah, that's what I read.
Oh, that's such a shame. What, return it to the library?
Yeah.
Here?
Yeah.
Oh, you couldn't have
You
reviewed
can take it back out.
I know, but then I was like, in my sports bag I had like a whole bunch of books that needed to return.
So that was the one that took the fall.
Well, it's understandable, isn't it? I suppose. Well. Yes. Come back to it later, maybe. Yeah. Okay. Of course, we celebrated Halloween last week, so I'm sure we had. Did you have a plethora of watching horror movies, everybody?
Oh, yeah, I watched some,
Yeah.
But too scary.
Too scary.
Too scary.
I didn't actually do anything.
No?
No, because my dad had been on a business trip all half term, and he only just got back on Sunday. So I didn't really want to do anything, because I was like, I was planning to go to a Halloween party, but I was like, I don't really have a costume, and I just stayed at home, but we had a cake, so that's okay.
Nice. Who did pumpkins? Anybody?
I
Coffee.
bought
Yeah.
Quality Streets and just handed them out.
I did my friend's because she had 2 pumpkins, and her sister wasn't going to help her, so we both did a pumpkin each. And then when we went to get a pumpkin at the stores, we went to 5 different stores, and none of them had anything.
They'd
They
run
were all
out.
sold out. Oh my gosh.
There's obviously a run on them this year. Wow.
I've never done trick or treating, or I've never dressed up for Halloween before.
I haven't dressed up, done trick or treating, but I have done my pumpkins before now.
Oh,
It's
so
very hard.
I watched
It's quite tricky.
I watched non-Halloween or non-scary films on Halloween with my friends, but a few days before that, someone I know from university, she's in her first year, but she came back down, and me and her brother and my sister, but she went on the iPad and just did other stuff while we were watching the film. She just came to be, not to be lonely.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, but we were watching a horror movie, and then, that was a really good film, actually.
What was it?
It was The Invisible Man, but there's been like loads and loads of reboots of
Is
that.
the new one?
I don't
old
know
one?
which one it is, but
Is it black and white or
no,
now?
it's
a now
in
movie.
colour.
Okay.
Yeah, I
'Cause
think
there
there's
is a
been
black and white version.
I think there's been 3 reboots of
Maybe.
it,
It's quite a popular story.
but there's like
It is.
different ones. Like there's like the man is invisible. The man made a suit. We watched one where it was a suit. But
Cool. I watched The Muppets Haunted Mansion.
Oh, did you? I don't know that one.
It was alright. It was good because it was The Muppets.
I
Storyline
should
Muppets are
watch.
always
I
good.
should watch that. I love the Muppets.
I watched The
Yeah.
Muppets: A Christmas Carol. I really
Yeah,
liked
I
is
love
wonderful.
that
That is the best
one.
film
That
ever.
is
I
one
love
of
that
the best
one.
versions.
They're showing it in the Rose
versions.
this year. They're doing a screening
That's
of it in
right,
the
they-
Rose. I
I've
might
never
go.
seen any of the Muppets.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Oh.
They are just brilliant.
I love
We should
everything
do a
about The
Litsoc
Muppets.
We should do it.
We
Yeah.
should.
Quite right, Lulu. You're absolutely right.
I have a big puppet I can bring in.
Me and my friend, we watched Suicide Squad, and
On
it was
Halloween.
the first time I'd seen it.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then it was really weird because halfway through, her dad called her to go and do some chores, and it was getting to the most exciting point.
Oh.
And then
That's
so
a
we
bit
had to
annoying.
go down and do it, and then when we came back up, the TV was off and we brought snacks up, and obviously we just bought sweets, and then we got to the amazing part, and she had cats, and then my other friend came over and she had a dog, and the dog literally
Oh, no.
chased the cat
Oh,
upstairs,
goodness.
and then we all got scared
Halloween
because all we could
horn.
hear
Yes.
is this cat screaming and this dog barking, and we got so scared.
So you
It's
didn't
a
really
bit
watch
of, a
the
bit
film.
of animal horror
Yeah.
for
That's what I
no
watched.
scary. What's so
Yeah.
Twilight?
Yeah, I've got
Surprise,
Twilight.
surprise.
Surprise, here we go. Did you watch Harry Potter? Harry Potter was on all over the
Yeah.
holiday too.
I
It
did
always
try
is.
to watch it before, but I'm not really good with like scary things.
You don't like
So
I watched
I
Black
got
Widow.
to the part when like one of my favourite characters died, and I
then
was
you-
like,
Turned it off.
yeah, I said, oh,
Fair enough.
they're actually my favourite characters.
Cedric Diggory.
They're the same actors as
Ah.
the colour.
Yeah.
Not surprised.
Oh,
I
Not
watched
surprised.
One of the really good TV shows. This is not anything to do with Halloween. Has anyone heard of the Goes Wrong show?
Yes.
Oh my god, I
It's
love
really
it.
So it's on BBC iPlayer. Honestly, I can't tell you how funny it is. So
It's very
try
fun.
and I think also another thing they did, Christmas Carol Goes Wrong and Peter Pan Goes
Yes,
Wrong.
that's good
Those are my
as well.
two absolute
Yeah.
favourites.
Peter Pan Goes Wrong is the best one.
Oh my
I've not
God,
seen
yeah.
those.
Oh, you should.
Funny.
It's on
Very
YouTube.
funny.
They're so funny.
You can watch
Yeah,
Christmas
very
Carol
funny.
on at Christmas then, can't you?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So we're getting ahead of ourselves. We've visited Halloween, and now let's get back to today. So Diwali, okay. Do we know what Diwali's about?
It's I don't know the full story, but it is about the Festival of Lights,
Mm-hmm.
and that's all I know.
Right. Lulu.
Wasn't there a prince who rescued a princess from a monster, and then they walked home and everyone put lights out in their houses so they could find their way back to the palace?
Yeah, and funnily enough, this story is part of the film in The Secret Garden. It's not in the book, but it's in the film. With this Indian theme.
Is it Little Princess or Secret Garden? I think it's
Little Princess. Sorry, not Secret
I was
Garden.
going to say.
Yes,
They both have
sorry.
Indian things in there.
Yeah,
They do.
yeah. Yes, and it's also the goddess Lakshmi, isn't it? Lakshmi.
I think it's Lakshmi.
Lakshmi. Have you seen Miss Rio's posters on the magnetic board? They're lovely and explain it really well. But it's that sense of light in the darkness, light overcoming darkness as well. And this is what I read, Asher and the Spirit Bird by Jasminda Bilan, and it's all set in India, and it begins in the Himalayas, and she's very helpfully gives a glossary at the beginning of Hindi and Punjabi words.
Oh.
And so I will say Diwali Mubarak, which I think that might mean
Happy Diwali.
Happy Diwali. Yeah, absolutely. And then she's got things like food to do with things like tandoor and lassi and naan. It's very informative. It's great. Dal and dosa douce. Do you know this one?
No, but I do know dal, and there are so many kinds. I love
Yeah.
the yellow one.
Yeah. And then she tells us what people wear, like chuni or shuni, long scarf.
chuni.
Chuni. And a lovely term, bete. Bete? Meaning dear for a child, maybe. Oh, and then also something else the Guardian had in their list today, barfi, made with condensed milk. It's a sweet meat.
Barfi.
Barfi.
It's a sweet, sort of.
Like a dessert.
Yeah.
I think I might have had
Yeah.
it before. It's really very sweet.
Very
isn't
sweet
it?
because it's condensed milk, isn't it? Not just, yeah.
Mm.
So it's a bit like fudge. So I was, and that was really interesting. And it's a quest. It's in the quest sort of story. Father's gone to earn money for the family, and it's told by Asha. And it's about her adventures to go and see if she can find her father. And they go on this long journey, and all sorts of things happen. But her grandmother accompanies her, but grandmother is dead. So she's come back in a spirit. That idea of reincarnation, but in a different form. And she comes back as an enormous bird called the Lammergeier. Which is basically this huge eagle vulture that lives up in the Himalayas. And she's accompanied by her friend, Jivan, and they quarrel and they lose each other and people get injured and then they get kidnapped by this terrible group of people who want to exploit them as children. But it has a happy ending. She's very... there are all sorts of animals and things in it as well. So she has to look after Jivan, he has to look after her. But I really enjoyed it. And there is a happy ending. And this was her first book, so she was very excited when it was accepted. And this is what she says. I was born in northern Punjab on a farm close to the Himalayas. My grandfather died when my dad was only 12, so it was left to my grandmother, my Maji, to look after 5 children and keep the farm going with help from my great uncle. As a woman, this would have been a challenging and difficult task, especially since my family had a high position in the village, and as such she would have been closely observed. Amongst the other animals on the farm, we had a camel. Now, I wouldn't associate camels with Himalayas, would you?
There was one
Wow.
in Durham. It was really weird.
Oh, there was a camel in Durham?
Yeah. There was
Okay.
a camel. We drove past it.
Oh, right.
It was a live camel.
It was a live camel. Okay. All right.
Never expected that.
No.
How much is it?
And a wild monkey, Omar, who became part of the family. Monkeys I can accept, whatever. At nightfall, the skies were alight with millions of stars, and this is when we used to set up a fire outside, make toffee popcorn, and tell stories. See, popcorn is universal. How amazing is that? When I returned to India for the first time, I was amazed at how well preserved the farm was. It was so beautiful. You could see wide views of bright green fields of sugar cane from the first floor marked balconies. We made a cup of tea. Guess where the milk came from? Directly from the cow into the cup. So she's an immigrant family. Her uncle went first, and then they came here, and she got most of her education here. But and she says, "And what if our ancestors stay with us in spirit to help in time of need?" And that's what that's about. I really enjoyed that.
Was she not the writer in residence somewhere this year? Maybe it's.
She might be now. Shall I look her up?
I might be thinking of the wrong person.
I know she had another book that just came out.
Yes.
The Star of Something and the Star of Ishtar. That sounds really good too.
Let's have a look.
That sounds like a bit more of a mystery, I think, than her new one.
Well, one of the things about this is that they've lost touch with her father and in the story, and they can't work out why. Artie and the Blue Gods.
Haven't heard of that one. That's a new one.
Really new.
I'm thinking of obviously the one just
Tamarind
before that.
and the Star of Ishtar.
That's one. Yeah, that sounds really good. I've been meaning to read that.
Yeah, a powerful story of loss and identity, home and family is woven into a thrilling adventure.
She's got a very distinctive cover art style. You can recognise her books straight away.
Beautiful, aren't they? Be nice to see if we could get her in. Be good, wouldn't it?
I could probably get her. She came to the festival last
Did she?
Did she?
Oh.
Yeah.
Last
that would
year.
Be nice.
2021.
Most recent.
She was I swear she was a writer in residence somewhere.
Well, you probably know better
You
if you
probably
met
know
her.
better than us. She won. Oh, this one. Oh, that's right. She won. Winner of the Times Children's Fiction Competition 2017, and Costa Book Awards 2019. Have we got the other one?
I think so, but whether it's in or not, it will be up here somewhere.
Hold on.
I can't see. We do have it.
She lives near Bath. She works as a teacher, apparently.
Oh.
And they've got a dog called Enzo.
Well, there you go.
I think I'm just making that up.
Maybe. Maybe you're getting her mixed up with someone else.
And that's the other thing, that's the link with Diwali, because Asha is born, it's her birthday on Diwali, and also every day they light a diva, a lamp. There's the Himalayas, can you see, girls?
Oh, wow.
It's so stunning. Somewhere I've always wanted to visit.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I've got a story that's close to Diwali.
Ah, right. Shall we hear that then?
My
That'd
dad
be
told me
great.
this yesterday.
Ah.
It's a story of, I can't remember if he said it was the first woman Prime Minister, but I think it was the first woman Prime Minister in India.
Gandhi.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
2 armies and bodyguards, half of them end up dead.
Oh,
Okay. It's about Diwali. It was set around Diwali.
It was set around Diwali.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So when she became Prime Minister of India, she heard that there were these bad terrorists hiding in the Golden Temple. Do you know?
Oh, yes, yes, the Sikh temple, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they went to find them, obviously they were spread out, but when the army that she had got from somewhere else, far away from the Golden Temple, they managed to blow up so many buildings around the Golden Temple and killed so many Sikhs.
They did.
Yeah, and so many of them, the Sikhs, didn't want that, and they were turning against her, saying we shouldn't have her as Prime Minister. And then, I can't remember, these are only facts that I heard, but apparently it was sort of like every time you said out loud in public that you didn't like the Prime Minister, you would either get shot or burnt down.
Oh dear.
And one time, it got so far that even the bodyguards, they were like, this is not happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then secretly, they shot her down. And all the Muslims who liked her, they weren't happy with it. So they obviously went to the Sikhs and said anyone who looks like a Sikh or is a Sikh will get shot and burnt, and then
Oh dear.
it wasn't a happy
Not happy.
ending.
No.
Oh no.
No. This is the trouble in India. The religious differences go sort of a bit mad, don't they, really?
Yeah.
It's sad. The other one that I didn't read, but is actually, I think, well worth it if you can, if anybody fancies it. It's called Unarranged Marriage, and it's actually a boy's arranged marriage that he really doesn't want to take part in. A wedding that I hadn't asked for, that I didn't want, to a girl I didn't know. Usually we think of arranged marriages from the woman's
That's so
point
true,
of view.
actually. I hadn't really thought of that before, yeah.
So I think I'll catch up with this at Christmas when I've got a bit more time. When this was written, Bali Rai lived in Leicester. I'm not sure he does now, but he'd done he'd done a degree in politics, but then decided he wanted to write. So this is quite old now. It's 2001, but it's still, obviously, arranged marriages for certain cultures are still happening. It's still quite important in lots of ways as well. So it's about his sort of perhaps journey to being reconciled with his culture, but maybe not as well. Yes, it's partly in the UK and partly in the Punjab. Yeah, he wants to dance to his own tune. Yeah, but well worth it. So, and I also got out Salman Rushdie, who has won the Booker Prize before now with Midnight's Children, and that's his last but one. That was shortlisted a couple of years ago, and he writes about the Indian subcontinent as well. So, Ria, what about yours?
I picked up this one.
Mm-hmm.
It's a picture book, actually. It was shortlisted for the Kate Greenaway Medal, I think, 2019, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was because I think we did it in reading.
Yeah, my sense of time for
Like that.
is all over the place, but I'm pretty sure. It's written by an Indian woman and illustrated by an Indian woman, and it's all about the noises that all the different animals in an Indian forest make. And there's a little, I'm pretty sure there's a little baby elephant that's scared of all the noises.
Oh.
And the mum elephant says, "You're safe with me." And when she hears it, there's a baby elephant like that. We'll find some of the illustrations. It's really lovely. I think often we don't think of picture books
No,
in
that's
our
right.
repertoire, but
No,
actually
that's right.
sometimes that can be the best way of... You go there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's
she's got a whole
beautiful.
series. I think there's a few more that came out recently, but ooh, look at them.
Mm.
Wow, that's
They're really lovely. So, you know, if you just need a nice read, been taken to the Indian forest with all the...
Yeah, nature is so
Animals,
important,
look at that
isn't it, for them? If you're not living in a big city, it
Yeah.
really is. Yeah.
Yeah, so recommend that one.
There's a lovely encounter with
Very
a
lovely.
tiger in this one. I tend to associate tigers with jungles, but in fact it's out in a forest. It's really astonishing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Which is nice. It's good. Elsewhere in the world, of course, we've got COP26 going on, so all sorts of eco things to think about. Plenty of books out there on what we should be, how we should be helping the planet. We're coming. It's November now, so it's Plant a Tree Month because it's good time to plant trees as well as bulbs. And what else is happening? We've got other. Oh, the Bailey Gifford Prize is imminent as well, which is the big historical history prize. So it's not too long. Okay. Also, Little Shop of Horrors is coming up. Who's got their ticket for that? Or who's it? Well, Lily's in it, aren't you? Yes.
My sister's in it. She's in the 5, but
I'm also in it as well.
You're in it too.
Pop plant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that mean we've got to come then? Yeah. Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
I'm in the line to watching the wardrobe. But that's in
Oh, of course
December.
you are.
Yeah,
Yes.
me and Emily
Yes.
are
How's that going?
It's quite good. Meryl's Lucy, and I'm a mermaid.
I'm helping make costumes for the Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe.
I'm helping do. I think I'm helping do the hair and makeup as well. I'm not too sure, but doing something along those lines.
I'm giving emotional support to my sister.
So what are you wearing in Little Shop of Horrors then, Lulu? What are you wearing?
Like kind of I'm not wearing the dress because I'm playing a man, but it's like I don't know how to describe them, like pin-up dresses almost, but not pin-up dresses, like with long skirts and like bright coloured bodices and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. Evie, what are you wearing?
I'm an ensemble, so I don't actually have a part, but in all the songs I do, I've got kind of different costumes. So I'm a child in Skid Row, I'm a decorator, and I'm a zombie as well.
Oh, okay.
I think I have a costume for one of my songs. It may be a Russian dancer, but I'm not too sure.
Okay.
So there's a lot of mixture, but yeah, it's been really fun.
Good.
We've
Not
got a
long now
6-hour
then.
rehearsal on Saturday.
Yeah.
I know. Can't wait.
Wow. Interesting. Right. We did decide what we're doing next week, and I can't remember what it was. No.
Can I?
No. We had a whole
It'll be a
conversation
surprise.
about it yesterday, and I've just forgotten. Anyway, never mind. Well, enjoy Diwali, and there's Friday Reflections on Diwali tomorrow as well, and enjoy the lights in the quad, which should be blazing brightly now,
Yeah,
hopefully.
it's black outside, isn't
Yes,
it?
as it's black outside. And at some point I'll remember what next week is, probably. And it's good to see everybody. So thank you very much for coming. Good to see you.